All right, so let's talk about two words you've probably heard a million times, whether it's in a martial arts movie or an actual dojo: sensei and senpai. But what if I told you that the way we use them in the West is, well, often completely wrong? See, these words don't just get lost in translation, they get kind of stripped of their deep cultural meaning along the way. And understanding that difference, it can change everything.
Okay, so let's just get right to it. In your average Western dojo, we throw the word sensei around all the time. But what does it actually mean? Most of us think we know, right? But that common understanding, it's usually a super simplified, or honestly just a totally wrong version of the truth.
And boom, this slide just lays out the problem perfectly. On one side, you've got the words that pop into our heads: master, boss, guru. They all have this vibe of like ultimate authority, maybe even something mystical. But on the other side, the literal Japanese meaning is just one who was born before. That's it. That is a huge difference, and it is the absolute key to unlocking what we're talking about today.
So let's really break this down. The true meaning of sensei has nothing to do with being a master that you worship from afar. It's about being a guide, someone who's just walking the same path, maybe a few steps ahead of you. Okay, so here's the official breakdown. Sensei literally means one who was born before, but the part you really gotta latch onto is that it's a relational honorific. It's not some static title you get like a certificate on the wall. It only exists in relation to somebody else, the person you're guiding. You are a sensei to someone.
And get this, the word itself tells you everything you need to know. The Japanese characters, the kanji, they spell it all out. Sen means before or ahead, and sei means born or life. So quite literally, a sensei is just someone who was born before you, who is simply ahead on the journey. The meaning is baked right into the word. How cool is that? And this brings us to a huge, crucial piece of cultural etiquette that gets broken in the West all the time. You never, ever, ever call yourself sensei. It is a title that is given to you by other people, by those who look to you as their guide. To claim it for yourself, it's not just bragging. In Japan, it's considered really awkward and just not something you do. You know, to really wrap your head around this, you've got to step outside the dojo. In Japan, the term sensei is used for a whole bunch of professions. Teachers, obviously, but also doctors, lawyers, politicians. Even really famous manga artists are called sensei. It's not about being a martial arts master. It's about holding a position of guidance and responsibility in pretty much any field.
All right, let's get to the main event. We have got to bust this master myth wide open. The idea that sensei means master is maybe the single most damaging misconception we have in Western martial arts. We need to reframe this completely. It's not a boastful title, it's actually a heavy burden. I mean, just look at the difference in the vibe of these words. The English word master, it suggests ownership, right? Final authority, perfection, even a little bit of domination. But sensei implies something totally different: guidance, responsibility, service, and just having gone first. It doesn't mean they're a better person, it means they have a duty to share what they've learned. This quote from our source material really just nails it. In Japanese culture, being called sensei is not a boast, it is a burden. Think about that. It's not some badge you pin on your chest to feel good about yourself, it's a weight that you willingly carry for your students and for the tradition of the art itself. So what exactly is this burden? Well, it's a lot more than just teaching punches and kicks. A sensei is responsible for passing down the art's techniques and its traditions. They have to model good conduct and discipline. They are responsible for the literal physical safety of their students. And they serve as a moral and cultural compass for the whole dojo. That is a huge responsibility. But here's the thing. A sensei isn't on an island. They don't operate in a vacuum. There's another absolutely crucial role in this whole ecosystem, and that brings us to the other half of this equation: understanding senpai. It's just as important, and you guessed it, just as misunderstood. So let's check out the definition. Senpai literally means one who came before in a group. Now the key words here are peer and companion. A senpai isn't a teacher in the same way a sensei is. They're a senior member of the same team, the same crew. And I love this slide because it shows you the structure so clearly. The relationship between a sensei and a student, it's vertical. It's a clear teacher-learner dynamic. But the relationship between a senpai and their junior, their kohai, that's horizontal. It's a peer-to-peer thing based on who's been in the group longer. And here's a great little line that just nails the difference. The sensei teaches the art, the techniques, the principles, the big ideas. But the senpai teaches the culture.
You know, the dojo etiquette, how to tie your belt right, where to stand during class. They are the guardians of the community's day-to-day life. So, now for the practical part. What do we do with all this information? How can we, as Westerners, use these terms in a way that's meaningful and respectful, without it just feeling like we're playing dress-up or engaging in some kind of awkward role play?
And yeah, this is the big question, right? It's a totally valid concern. If we're not part of Japanese society, is it even appropriate to be using these words? It's easy to feel like you're an imposter. But just abandoning the terms means we lose a really valuable structure for our communities.
And the answer, and it's a really important one, is right here. The goal is not perfect imitation. A dojo in Toronto is not going to be the same as a dojo in Tokyo, and that is perfectly okay. The goal is faithful adaptation. It's all about understanding the original spirit of these words: humility, service, responsibility, and then finding a way to make that spirit live in your own unique context.
Okay, so how do you actually do that? It's basically a two-step process. First, you preserve the spirit. You make sure everyone understands that these titles are about responsibility, not about ego. Second, you adapt the form. It's totally fine to define the roles in a way that makes sense for your specific dojo. Maybe Senpai refers to all the black belts who help teach. As long as you're clear and true to the spirit, you are adapting faithfully.
All right, let's wrap this all up. What's the final takeaway here? It's that these words, sensei and senpai, they're not just labels. They are powerful blueprints for building a strong community that's based on respect and shared responsibility.
This little chart here just lays it all out so perfectly. The sensei, the guide, teaches us the teaching is a burden of responsibility. The senpai, the senior peer, teaches us that with more experience comes an obligation to help others. And the kohai, the junior peer, reminds us that the entire journey of learning has to start with trust.
And that right there, that's the whole point. When you use these terms correctly, they teach us how to be part of a community that values order without arrogance and respect without fear. That's a blueprint for a healthier, more functional community, not just in the dojo, but everywhere.
So, I'll leave you with this question. Whether you're in a dojo, a classroom, or even an office, I want you to think about the titles you use. Are they just empty labels? Or are they actively helping to shape your community for the better? How do these words, and the powerful ideas behind them, build the world around you?